Hello there, and welcome to Peaceful Cosmos. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight, drifting into this gentle space where the stars above meet the quiet wonders below. Perhaps you've had a day full of rush, or maybe you're one who finds solace in the soft mysteries of our world rather than fading into ordinary dreams. Either way, this is for you. A slow, soothing exploration of Earth's most relaxing facts, whispered like ancient secrets from the soil itself. Let your thoughts unwind, your breath deepen, and your body settle as if cradled by the planet's own rhythm. Because tonight, we're not rushing through facts, we're lingering in their glow, in the calm truths that make Earth a living poem. From oceans that breathe light to forests that remember, from creatures that retell time to skies that hold forgotten rains. These are the gentle marvels that invite wonder without stirring the soul too far from rest. Some may linger in your mind like a fading echo, others may carry you softly into sleep. And just before we begin, if these peaceful cosmic whispers help you unwind or spark a quiet curiosity, consider liking and subscribing to Peaceful Cosmos. It helps others discover this serene haven, one peaceful soul at a time. Now, let's drift inward. What if Earth once whispered something profound and the winds carried it away, only to return in silence? Echoes beneath the soil. In this chapter, the narrative drifts through the hidden networks of roots and fungi, where trees exchange silent memories like forgotten letters passed in the dark. It explores how the ground beneath us is not still, but alive with quiet conversations, where ancient forests share nutrients and warnings across vast, unseen webs. The metaphors weave erosion as time's soft hand, turning soil into stories that cradle life without rush. Layers of mycorrhizal threads become threads of forgotten wisdom, binding the living to the decayed, evoking a melancholic awe at how the earth reclaims what it once gave. No events unfold. Instead, ideas settle like dust over eons, reminding that memory in nature is not held, but eroded gently into renewal. The tone lingers on the sacred hush of subterranean bonds, where silence speaks of resilience buried deep. Whispers from the depths. Here, the ocean's lightless voids unfold in layers, where bioluminescent beings glow not for spectacle, but as faint breaths in endless night. Metaphors of deep water as eternal memory evoke how forgotten creatures cycle through rebirth, their forms dissolving and reforming like ash in a slow current. The narrative reflects on hydrothermal vents as cradles of quiet origin, where life first stirred without light, eroding boundaries between beginning and persistence. Emotional layers touch on the melancholic beauty of isolation, where silence subducts the clamor of the surface world, folding truths into abyssal folds. Ideas echo through the pressure of time, drifting without conclusion, inviting awe at the planet's hidden pulse. Fossils in the fog. Here, the sitting atmospheres melt into mist, where fog and clouds hold the erosion of mountains and the breath of vanished rains. Through metaphors of drifting stars as distant witnesses, it contemplates how air carries unspoken extinctions, intelligence woven into isotopic whispers that fade like unwritten stories in stone. The tone reflects on silence as a veil where forgotten languages of wind and vapor reclaim the sky's vast emptiness. No resolutions emerge. Instead, ideas layer like sediment in quiet wonder at how the heavens remember what the earth has buried. Tides without recall. The narrative flows into the rhythmic pull of seas, where waves reclaim shores in endless, unremembered cycles. Metaphors of gravity's whisper draw parallels to carbon's breath, turning extinction into subtle rebirths amid coral's slow architecture. Emotional depth lingers in the melancholic drift of marine voids, where intelligence flickers in bioluminescent echoes, silent as subduction zones folding ancient plates. Ideas erode like sand, evoking awe at life's persistence in the pull of moonlit waters without haste or end. The sky's silent erosion. High above, the chapter breathes through atmospheric layers, where dust drifts as time's quiet envoy, carrying fossils of stellar ash. It reflects on how intelligence burns in isotopic remnants, forgotten languages etched in auroral voids. The tone evokes melancholic reflection on extinction's unwritten tales, silence as the sky's subduction, reclaiming lightless expanses. Ideas settle without conclusion, like stars whispering across eons. Roots of forgotten light. Delving into subterranean glows, this explores bioluminescent fungi and crystal caverns as metaphors for memory's erosion, where Earth's inner voids hold carbon's breath amid ancient subductions. Emotional layers touch on quiet awe at intelligence in mineral whispers, extinction's echoes in stone. Silence speaks through layered ideas, drifting like dust without resolve. Embers in the stone. The final drift settles into geological heartbeats where volcanic whispers and tectonic folds evoke time's dust eroding mountains into plains. Metaphors of gravity's breath turn intelligence into isotopic tales, silence as voids reclaiming unwritten extinctions. Ideas echo the opening, fading like mist into sacred renewal. Echoes beneath the soil. The earth does not hurry. It cradles its secrets in layers, soft and unyielding, where roots delve like forgotten thoughts into the dark. Beneath the canopy's hush, where leaves fall without witness, a network stirs, not with sound, but with the quiet exchange of essence. Trees, those ancient sentinels, do not stand alone. Their roots entwine with fungal threads, mycorrhiza weaving through soil like veins of shadowed memory. Nutrients pass here from one to another, a silent barter in the underworld. The older ones, the mothers, extend their grace to the young, funneling life through this hidden web. It is not kindness, it is persistence, erosion's gentle hand, turning decay into renewal. The soil remembers, in its way, holding the ash of fallen giants, blending it into the breath of new growth. Time settles. Fungi, those quiet architects, bridge the gaps. They do not seek light, thriving instead in the fog of decomposition. Their hyphae stretch like whispers across vast distances, connecting birch to fir, oak to understory fern. Warnings travel this path too, pests approaching, droughts slow creep. A chemical murmur, faint as isotopic decay, alerts the collective. The forest breathes as one, not in lungs, but in this subterranean pulse. Silence subducts the clamor above, folding it into the earth's deep voids. What was once a leaf, vibrant and green, now erodes into humus, its story unwritten yet etched in the carbon cycle. Intelligence here is not sharp, not conscious. It is diffused, like dust drifting through eons, binding the living to what has passed. Deeper still, the soil's layers hold fossils of forgotten eras. Ancient roots, petrified in stone, echo extinctions long submerged. The Permian fade when worlds collapsed in heat and ash. The Permian fade when worlds collapsed in heat and ash, left imprints here in the quiet strata. Life reclaimed, not with fanfare, but through slow subduction, plates shifting beneath oceans of time. Microbes stir in this matrix, breaking bonds, releasing whispers of gravity that pull nutrients downward. They do not know, they simply persist, their languages forgotten, yet fluent in survival's rhythm. The earth reclaims, it does not remember. Erosion smooths the edges, turning sharp losses into soft continuance. A beetle's shell, dissolved over centuries, feeds the mycelium's reach. In the hush of a rain-soaked wood, where fog clings like a veil, this network expands. No events mark its growth, it layers imperceptibly like sediment in a lightless void. A dying tree passes its final essence, not in vain, but through the web, sustaining kin in distant groves. Melancholy lingers in this transfer, the impermanence of form, the endurance of connection. Intelligence burns faintly in isotopic flickers where carbon's breath sustains the chain. Silence speaks, it folds truths beneath the surface where roots entwine without end. The soil's memory erodes, yet holds a sacred archive of what has been reclaimed. Dust settles. Worms glide through this realm, their bodies segmenting the dark like breaths in stone. They aerate, turning compacted earth into porous whispers, allowing roots to delve deeper. No haste in their motion, it is the slow erosion of barriers, creating voids where life seeps in. Fungi partner here too, wrapping worm casts in threads, enriching the cycle. Extinction's echoes resonate faintly, species lost to ancient shifts, their remnants fueling the present. The ground does not mourn, it integrates, subducting the past into fertile silence. Ideas drift like pollen on unseen winds, settling without conclusion. Awe emerges quietly in the realization that beneath our steps lies a world of layered bonds, where time's dust accumulates in peaceful strata. Moss clings to the edges, its soft forms absorbing the fog's moisture, releasing it slowly into the soil's embrace. It does not compete, it complements, a green shroud over the network's quiet work. In this, memory takes form, not as recollection, but as persistence, erosion carving channels for life's return. The Earth's intelligence whispers through these interactions, gravity's pull binding atom to atom, isotope to isotope. Forgotten languages murmur in the humus, where decay's breath fuels rebirth. Silence envelops, a subduction of surface noise into profound depths. The chapter fades, but the web extends. The roots delve deeper still, where silence reigns in the earth's hidden chambers. Caverns form not from haste, but from water's patient erosion, dissolving stone over millennia into vast, lightless voids. Within these depths, fungi extend their tendrils, colonizing the damp walls, drawing sustenance from minerals that have slumbered since the planet's fiery birth. They do not clamor, they persist, their mycelial networks mirroring the web above, but in utter darkness. Here memory takes the form of crystal growth, slow accretions that capture the breath of ancient air, isotopes trapped in calcite like whispers from a forgotten epoch. The cave's hush subducts the world's noise, folding it into profound quiet, where time's dust settles in layers unseen. Intelligence flickers faintly in chemical dialogues between microbe and rock, breaking bonds that release carbon's subtle sigh. Extinction's echoes linger too, fossils of creatures long erased, their forms imprinted in the stone, unwritten stories reclaimed by the earth's patient reclaiming. Fog seeps in from above, carrying the mist of surface rains, blending with the cave's cool exhalations. Bats hang in clusters, their wings folded like ancient scrolls, navigating the voids with echoes that map the silence. They do not disturb the web, they become part of it, their guano nourishing the fungi below, a cycle of decay and renewal that erodes boundaries between life and mineral. The soil above filters down through cracks, carrying seeds of memory, pollen from vanished forests, ash from distant eruptions. These particles settle, layer upon layer, building an archive where gravity's whisper pulls all downward. No events mark this accumulation. It is the slow drift of geological time, where subduction zones far below mirror the quiet folding of thoughts into oblivion. Melancholy breathes here in the realization that what was once vibrant surface now rests in eternal hush, reclaimed without fanfare. Intelligence burns in isotopic remnants, forgotten languages etched in the strata, speaking of eras when the planet trembled with nascent life. Silence envelops, a sacred veil over the earth's inner workings. Dust drifts. Deeper waters pool in these voids, still and black, holding reflections that never see light. They reclaim what falls, dissolved salts, eroded fragments, turning them into new formations, stalactites dripping like time's own tears. The water does not remember its path from rain to river to seep. It simply flows, eroding channels that widen over eons. Microbes thrive in this liquid silence, their metabolisms whispering through sulfur cycles, breathing carbon in ways that echo the surface but in profound isolation. Fossils submerge here too, preserved in anoxic depths, their stories folded beneath layers of sediment. The earth's memory erodes gently, smoothing sharp histories into rounded truths, where extinction becomes not an end, but a subtle transition. Awe settles quietly in the contemplation of how these hidden realms sustain the world above, unseen threads binding the visible to the buried. Voids expand imperceptibly as erosion carves further, creating spaces where silence speaks of resilience. The network persists, fungal hyphae bridging stone and water, a quiet intelligence that defies the dark. In the soil's embrace, worms continue their glide, segmenting the earth into breathable passages, allowing oxygen's faint whisper to penetrate. They do not plan, they enact, their bodies eroding compacted layers into fertile voids. Fungi entwine their casts, enriching the matrix with enzymes that break down the forgotten. Leaves turn to humus, bones to mineral dust. Extinction's unwritten tales resonate in these transformations, species lost to ancient shifts now fueling the present's quiet pulse. The ground integrates, subducting the past into layers of continuance where time's dust accumulates without haste. Ideas drift like subterranean currents, settling in rhythmic variation, evoking the melancholic beauty of erosion's hand. A beetle stirs, its shell a fossil in waiting, contributing to the web's expansion. Silence folds truths deeper, where roots entwine with stone. The chapter lingers, but the depths call onward. Mosses and lichens cling to the surface edges, their forms soft against the hard erosion of rock, absorbing fog's moisture and releasing it slowly into the soil's waiting grasp. They do not dominate, they harmonize, a verdant shroud over the network's subterranean work. In this symbiosis, memory persists not as sharp recall, but as layered persistence, erosion carving pathways for life's quiet return. The Earth's intelligence murmurs through these bonds, gravity binding atom to isotope, carbon's breath sustaining the unseen chain. Forgotten languages echo in the humus, where decay's sigh fuels subtle rebirths. Silence subducts the clamor of the world above, enveloping the depths in profound peace. Ideas settle like sediment in a lightless river, drifting without resolution, inviting reflection on how the buried sustains the blooming. Awe emerges in the hush as the web extends further, roots delving into cracks where water once carved. The soil's archive grows, holding the ash of ancient fires, blending it with the fog of present rains. Time doesn't rush, it layers. Crystals form in the voids, growing imperceptibly from mineral-rich drips, their facets capturing isotopic whispers from eras when the planet cooled from molten birth. They do not shine, they endure, silent witnesses to subduction's slow fold, where plates shift beneath oceans of time. Microbes colonize their surfaces, their biofilms of faint intelligence, burning in chemical exchanges, turning stone's breath into life's persistence. Extinction's echoes embed here, remnants of marine creatures from vanished seas, their shells eroded into calcite memories. The cave's fog condenses, droplets falling like breath-like phrases, nourishing the fungal threads that bridge the gaps. Melancholy lingers in this quiet alchemy, the impermanence of form reclaimed by the earth's eternal hush. Dust settles further, accumulating in strata that hold unwritten stories, where gravity's whisper pulls all into unity. The network expands, roots from above intertwining with hyphae below, a sacred bond in the dark. Silence speaks volumes, folding truths beneath the visible world. Waters rise in hidden aquifers, reclaiming what surface rivers have eroded, storing the planet's liquid memory in vast underground seas. They flow without sound, through porous stone, carrying dissolved fossils of ancient rains, isotopes that tell of climates long subdued. Life persists here too, in extremophiles that thrive in the void's pressure, their metabolisms a quiet intelligence adapting to lightless realms. The Earth's breath cycles through these depths, carbon dissolving and reforming, echoing the surface but in profound isolation. Erosion continues its work, widening channels, creating new voids where silence reigns. Ideas drift like underground currents, settling in layers that evoke wonder at the interconnected hush. The web endures, fungal partnerships sustaining the cycle, where extinction becomes renewal's seed. Awe breathes softly in the realization that these buried waters feed the soil above, an eternal loop without end. The chapter fades deeper, but the silence persists. The Earth's inner fires simmer, deep where pressure builds like unspoken regrets, folding rock into new forms without a sound. Lava once flowed here, but now it cools in veins, isotopes decaying in rhythmic whispers that mark time's erosion. The soil above absorbs this heat faintly, a breath from below that warms the roots, sustaining the web in subtle layers. Fungi extend further, their hyphae probing cracks and bedrock, partnering with minerals that dissolve slowly, releasing nutrients into the matrix. No rush in this exchange, it is the slow subduction of stone into life, where gravity pulls all downward, settling dust from ancient eruptions into fertile silence. Memory erodes here, fossils of volcanic ash blending with organic remnants, unwritten stories of extinctions folded beneath the crust. Intelligence flickers in microbial colonies, their chemical languages adapting to the heat, burning isotopes as fuel in lightless voids. The cave's waters reflect this, carrying dissolved echoes from above, settling in pools where silence envelops the flow. Fog condenses on walls, droplets tracing paths like breath-like phrases, nourishing the unseen. Bats stir occasionally, their wings a faint rustle in the hush, dropping guano that fungi reclaim, turning waste into essence for the network's growth. The soil's layers thicken imperceptibly, erosion carving channels where roots from surface trees delve, entwining with hyphae and sacred bonds. Time doesn't pass, it accumulates, dust drifting from weathered mountains, blending with ash from forgotten fires. Extinction's echoes resonate softly, species lost to lava flows, their imprints subducted into stone, reclaimed without mourning. The Earth's breath cycles through vents, carbon rising and falling, whispering of gravity's eternal hold. Ideas settle like sediment in these depths, evoking melancholic awe at how the buried sustains the surface's quiet bloom. Voids expand slowly, fog seeping deeper, eroding barriers that once held firm. The web endures, intelligence in geochemical remnants, forgotten languages murmuring in the stone's core. Silence envelops truths, folding them deeper into the planet's core. Aquifers swell beneath, vast reservoirs where water reclaims what eroded sediments, holding memory in liquid form, isotopes telling of ancient seas now buried. They flow without haste, through porous stone, nourishing roots that pierce from above, blending fog's mist with geothermal sighs. Microbes thrive here, their metabolisms a persistent intelligence, adapting to pressure's embrace, subducting organic matter into mineral whispers. Fossils dissolve here too, their stories eroding into saline echoes, unwritten tales of life reclaimed by the deep. The Earth's intelligence burns faintly, gravity binding water to rock, carbon's breath sustaining the unseen loop. Extinction becomes subtle renewal, echoes in aquifers fading like drifting stars. Awe lingers in the realization that these buried waters feed the soil above, an eternal loop without end. The chapter fades deeper, but the silence persists. Worms ascend through warmer layers, their tunnels intersecting with hyphal networks, aerating the matrix to allow fog's moisture to penetrate deeper. They do not seek, they enact, bodies eroding compacted layers into breathable voids where life seeps in without fanfare. Lichens above mirror this, clinging to rocks, their symbiotic forms absorbing the mist, releasing acids that weather stone into soil's beginnings. In this, memory persists as layered erosion, carving channels for life's quiet return. The Earth's whispers echo through these bonds, intelligence in the chemical dialogues, forgotten languages etched in the humus. Silence subducts the world's clamor, enveloping the depths in profound peace. Ideas settle like sediment in a lightless river, drifting without resolution, inviting reflection on how the buried sustains the blooming. Awe emerges in the hush as the web extends further, roots delving into cracks where water once carved. The soil's archive grows, holding the ash of ancient fires, blending it with the fog of present rains. Time doesn't rush, it layers. Crystals continue their growth, facets capturing the breath of ancient air, isotopes decaying. Isotopes decaying in faint burns that mark eons. They do not sparkle, they endure, silent witnesses to subduction's fold, where plates shift beneath silent oceans. Microbes coat their surfaces, biofilms a subtle intelligence, turning mineral whispers into life's persistence. Extinction's remnants embed, marine echoes from vanished waters, their shells eroded into calcite haze. The cave's fog thickens, droplets falling in rhythmic variation, nourishing hyphae that bridge voids. Melancholy breathes in this transformation, the impermanence of form reclaimed by eternal quiet. Dust drifts deeper, strata holding unwritten stories, gravity pulling into unity. The web expands further, roots from the surface intertwining with crystal edges, a sacred hush in the dark. Silence folds truths beneath, where intelligence flickers in isotopic glow. Waters from aquifers rise through capillaries, blending with surface rains, carrying fossils of forgotten eras into the soil's embrace. They dissolve barriers, eroding stone into nutrient whispers, sustaining the fungal partnerships that bind all. Life adapts here, extremophiles in the pressure, their cycles a quiet awe, subducting the past into presence breath. Erosion smooths, turning sharp histories into rounded continuances, where extinction echoes softly in stone. Ideas settle like mist in voids, drifting without end, evoking wonder at the planet's inner pulse. The chapter drifts onward, but the depths remain. The Earth's core hums faintly, a distant vibration where heat folds rock into fluid whispers, eroding boundaries between solid and molten over eons. This warmth rises subtly, seeping through mantle layers, influencing the soil's temperature in quiet gradients that roots sense without knowing. Fungi respond here, their networks adapting to the thermal breath, extending hyphae into warmer voids where microbes thrive on geochemical exchanges. No sudden shifts mark this interaction. It is the slow subduction of energy, gravity pulling heat upward while time's dust settles in crystalline forms. Memory persists in these depths, fossils of ancient magma flows, blended with organic remnants from surface falls, unwritten stories of extinctions reclaimed by the planet's inner reclaiming. Intelligence flickers in bacterial colonies, their metabolisms burning isotopes in rhythmic cycles, forgotten languages adapting to pressure's embrace. Cave waters mirror this, carrying dissolved echoes from volcanic vents, settling in basins where silence envelops the flow. Fog from above condenses in cooler pockets, droplets tracing erosion's paths, nourishing the web's expansion. Bats navigate these thermal gradients, their echolocation mapping voids where fungal threads bridge mineral walls, dropping contributions that enrich the matrix below. The soil's strata deepen imperceptibly, water's erosion carving channels that allow roots to delve further, entwining with hyphae in bonds that sustain without proclamation. Time accumulates like ash from distant eruptions, drifting from weathered peaks, blending with humus in layers of continuance. Extinction's echoes soften, species lost to primordial heats, their imprints subducted into mineral haze, integrated without lament. The Earth's breath cycles through fissures, carbon dissolving in groundwater, whispering of gravity's eternal hold. Ideas drift like thermal plumes, settling in melancholic layers, evoking awe at how inner fires feed the surface's quiet bloom. Voids widen slowly, fog seeping deeper, eroding barriers that once confined the hush. The network endures, intelligence in geochemical remnants, forgotten languages murmuring in the stone's core. Silence folds truths into the mantle, where roots sense the warmth below. Aquifers pulse with this subterranean rhythm, storing water that reclaims eroded sediments, holding isotopic tales of ancient climates now buried in liquid archives. They flow without urgency through fractured rock, nourishing fungal partnerships that bind the depths to the soil above, blending fog's mist with geothermal sighs. Microbes adapt in these reservoirs, their cycles a persistent intelligence, subducting dissolved organics into mineral whispers. Fossils dissolve gently, their narratives eroding into saline echoes, unwritten extinctions reclaimed by the deep's hush. The Earth's intelligence burns softly, gravity weaving water through stone, carbon's breath sustaining the unseen loop. Extinction transforms into subtle renewal, echoes in aquifers fading like drifting constellations. Awe lingers in the contemplation that these hidden flows irrigate the roots, an eternal circulation where silence speaks of endurance. Dust accumulates deeper, strata preserving the planet's sacred chronicle. Worms ascend through warmer layers, their tunnels intersecting with hyphal networks, aerating the matrix to allow geothermal breaths to rise. They enact without intent, bodies eroding dense strata into permeable voids where life infiltrates silently. Lichens on surface stones echo this, absorbing fog's essence, releasing agents that weather rock into soil's genesis. In this harmony, memory endures as stratified erosion, sculpting conduits for life's muted resurgence. The Earth's murmurs resonate through these alliances, intelligence in enzymatic dialogues, forgotten dialects inscribed in the sediment. Silence subducts external din, cloaking the depths in serene profundity. Ideas meander like aquifer streams, depositing without closure, prompting meditation on the interwoven quietude. A beetle descends, its exoskeleton a prospective fossil, augmenting the cycle's breath. The web proliferates, roots interlacing with thermal veins. Time stratifies gently. Crystals evolve in heated pockets, facets encapsulating geothermal breaths, isotopes decaying in subtle incandescence that delineates epochs. They endure without luster, mute observers to subduction's crease, where mantles shift beneath temporal seas. Microbes encrust their planes, biofilms a nuanced intelligence, transmuting mineral size into life's tenacity. Extinction's vestiges implant, remnants from volcanic upheavals, their casings eroded into silicate haze. The cave's fog intensifies, droplets cascading in varied cadence, sustaining hyphae that span chasms. Melancholy infuses this metamorphosis, the transience of configuration reclaimed by perennial stillness. Dust meanders profounder, laminations cradling unscribed narratives, gravity converging into cohesion. The web amplifies, surface roots interweaving with crystal margins, a hallowed hush in obscurity. Silence enfolds verities beneath, where intelligence gleams in isotopic radiance. Waters from thermal springs ascend via capillaries, merging with surface precipitations, conveying fossils of archaic epochs into the soil's clasp. They disintegrate obstructions, eroding lithic into nutrient murmurs, bolstering fungal coalitions that unite all strata. Life acclimates herein, thermophiles in the fervor, their rhythms a muted reverence, subducting antiquity into contemporaneity's exhalation. Erosion refines, morphing acute chronicles into curved perpetuations, where extinction resounds delicately in lithic. Ideas deposit akin to vapor in abysses, wafting sans terminus, arousing marvel at the planet's visceral cadence. The chapter wanes profounder, yet the hush endures. But what the planet buried, it never truly forgot. Whispers from the depths. The ocean does not rush. It cradles its mysteries in abyssal layers, where currents weave like forgotten dreams through the dark. Beneath the surface's gentle sway, where waves kiss the air without memory, a world unfolds, not with clamor, but with the silent drift of bioluminescent beings, their glow a faint breath in endless night. Plankton stir here, tiny forms igniting chemical whispers that light the void, not for eyes, but for survival's quiet rhythm. Nutrients cycle through this haze, from surface blooms to benthic floors, a slow exchange where decay feeds rebirth. The deep remembers in its way, holding the ash of sunken continents, blending it into the sediment's hush. Time drifts. Thence rise from the seafloor hydrothermal plumes where heat subducts cold waters, folding chemistry into life's origin. Microbes thrive in this pressure, their metabolisms burning sulfur in isotopic flickers, intelligence diffused like dust through eons. They do not seek, they persist, languages forgotten yet fluent in extremophile endurance. The ocean reclaims, eroding shipwrecks into coral's embrace, unwritten stories of extinctions layered in abyssal mud. Silence envelops the trenches, lightless voids where gravity pulls all downward, settling fossils in profound strata. Emotional erosion lingers, the impermanence of surface light reclaimed by the deep's eternal fog. Awe settles quietly in the realization that these hidden currents sustain the waves above, unseen threads binding the illuminated to the buried. Voids expand, currents carving further, creating spaces where hush speaks of endurance. The plankton's glow persists, a subtle intelligence defying the dark. Deeper currents flow, carrying sediments from eroded coasts above, holding reflections of ancient rivers that never see sun. They do not recall their terrestrial paths, they simply meander, subducting particles into benthic plains. Archaea stir in this matrix, breaking bonds, releasing carbon's subtle sigh that echoes the surface but in isolation. Fossils submerge here, preserved in anoxic hush, their tails folded beneath sediment's veil. The ocean's memory erodes gently, turning pelagic falls into benthic truths, where extinction echoes as transition seed. Ideas drift like upwelling nutrients, settling without conclusion, evoking melancholic wonder at life's drift in pressure's hold. A squid flashes, its chromatophores a fossil in flux, adding to the lair's subtlety. Silence folds verities deeper, where glow entwines with abyss. The chapter lingers, but the depths call. The trenches do not speak, they hold their secrets in compressed layers, where pressure folds time into density without end. Currents meander through these abysses, carrying sediments from eroded continents above, blending them with the remains of deep-sea dwellers that fall like silent snow. Vent communities thrive in isolation, tube worms anchored to sulphur's breath, their forms a metaphor for memory's persistence amid subduction's pull. Chemicals rise here, hydrothermal plumes whispering of Earth's inner heat, isotopes decaying in faint rhythms that echo the planet's carbon cycle. Intelligence persists in bacterial mats, their colonies adapting to toxicity's embrace, forgotten languages in enzymatic exchanges. The ocean reclaims, eroding volcanic ridges into abyssal plains, unwritten extinctions layered in ooze that settles over eons. Silence envelops the depths, lightless voids where gravity subducts all surface traces, settling fossils in profound strata. Emotional erosion lingers, the solitude of forms that thrive without sun, reclaimed by the deep's eternal fog. Awe drifts quietly in the contemplation that these hidden realms birth life's origins, unseen bonds linking the illuminated to the obscured. Voids deepen, currents carving further, spaces where hush reveals endurance. The vent's glow fades, a subtle persistence defying oblivion. Pelagic zones float above, vast midwaters where jellyfish drift like ash in slow currents, their bioluminescence a breath-like phrase in the dark. They do not hunt with haste, they persist, tentacles trailing memories of ancient seas, eroding boundaries between predator and void. Plankton ascend and descend in diurnal rhythms, carbon's whispers cycling through the water column, intelligence in their collective swarm adapting to light's faint gradient. Fossils of fallen whales submerge here, their bones colonized by microbes that break down lipids in isotopic burns, forgotten stories reclaimed by the deep. The ocean's hush subducts surface noise, enveloping the zone in profound peace. Emotional reflection lingers on life's fragile glow, turned to ash in the void's reclaiming. Awe drifts in the realization that these migrations sustain the deep's web, unseen rhythms binding light to shadow. Voids contract and expand with thermal layers, erosion carving thermoclines where silence speaks. The fish's pulse endures, a subtle awe in the bioluminescent haze. Seafloor spreading breathes new crust into existence, where mid-ocean ridges part like time's dust settling in reverse, magma whispering of gravity's hold. Plates diverge without haste, their motion eroding old boundaries into subduction's counterpart, intelligence in geomagnetic reversals that record the planet's flips. Memory holds in basalt layers, isotopes telling of eras when continents drifted, forgotten extinctions folded in the mantle's void. The ocean reclaims, blending hydrothermal with pelagic in cycles that sustain without end. Ideas settle like ridge sediments, drifting in melancholic layers, inviting wonder at the earth's inner renewal. A rift vent stirs, its plume a fossil in formation, contributing to the ocean's breath. Silence folds truths deeper where spreading entwines with abyss. Abyssal plains stretch in eternal flatness, where sediments accumulate like drifting stars' ash, holding the planet's unwritten archive in compacted hush. They do not vary, they persist, erosion smoothing all irregularities into profound uniformity, gravity pulling particles downward in isotopic whispers. Microbes thrive in this matrix, their slow metabolisms a quiet intelligence adapting to scarcity's embrace, forgotten languages in DNA that defies time's subduction. Fossils layer here, remnants of surface life reclaimed by the deep's fog, extinctions echoing as subtle transitions. The ocean's memory erodes gently, turning pelagic falls into benthic truths. Awe lingers in the vastness, where silence speaks of the planet's patient reclaiming. The plain's hush endures, a sacred void in the dark. Time doesn't hasten, it settles. Good night with sweet dreams.